The K-Jazz Show, Sundays on Kofifi FM 97.2.
We Are Sent Here by History is a follow-up to Wisdom of the Elders, the debut project from Shabaka and the Ancestors, who are an afrocentric jazz ensemble and brought us hits like Go to My Heart, Joyous and Mzwandile. The ensemble is made up of British musician Shabaka Hutchings, Siya Mthembu Ariel Zamonsky, Tumi Mogorosi, Mthunzi Mvubu, including Gontse Makhene, and together they have created music that showcases African chants, eloquent whispers, alternative sounds, tribal pulses, and pithy saxophone phrases, talking on topics such as forever lost cultures, greedy capitalism, and white supremacist hegemony. Of course, Shabaka and the Ancestors have announced dates for their next tour, which is in fact their final tour as an ensemble. And here to talk to us about that is vocalist for the Ancestors, including the other supergroup, The Brother Moves On, Kofifi FM. Please help me welcome Siya Mthembu to the K-Jazz Show. Morning, brother.
Morning, brother. Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you for joining us, as always. And of course, we talked today, of course, about Shabaka and the Ancestors, who have been a very interesting outfit in the scene, from the kind of sound to, the various topics that are covered in the music. Some have even referred to the ensemble as underground, but I want us to reflect on the beginnings of this outfit. And of course, for the benefit of those who do not know who Shabaka and the Ancestors are, when did it all begin?
Shabaka and the Ancestors began in 2016 when Shabaka Hutchings contacted some friends he had made in South Africa over his trips, because he had been coming through Cape Town on a few trips, because that's where I met him. And he invited all of us to a session. I was actually only supposed to be there for a feature for one song. When I came through the door, there was Mandla Mlangeni, Tumi Mogorosi, Ariel Zamonsky, Gontse Makhene, and Mthunzi Mvubu was going to be coming in the weeks to come. And I was like, wow, this is a bit of a super group. I enjoyed myself so much that I ended up writing about 5 or 6 songs on the initial recording. It was supposed to be a session. At the end of it, I asked Shabaka, so what are you going to call this? And he was planning on this being actually his solo album. And it's so weird that we're at this moment because his solo comes out in April next year. But then I was like, oh, so we're just going to be Invisible Black Bodies again. And then he was like, do you have any ideas of what we could call it then? And I was like, a huge fan of Carla Mombelli and the Prisoners of Strange, because the Prisoners of Strange weren't a set of people, they could change. And that's what I pitched. I was like, oh, what about calling it Shabaka and the Ancestors? And the Ancestors, in the same way that the Prisoners of Strange are not fixed members, the Ancestors can be anyone, but Shabaka being the central cause.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's how we got to Shabaka and the Ancestors. He went home, wasn't sure where the album would be released, and he played it for Giles Peterson from Brownswood Recordings. And Giles took the bait and released the album, and then gave us a call about a few months later to be like, hey guys, I've booked some shows in the UK and the US, some being 40 shows. And so began the story of Shabaka and the Ancestors.
What a wonderful history, of course, almost like a chance meeting, and it just one thing led to another. And I suppose you had to be there at the right place at the right time, and as an ensemble, Siya, you've released 2 projects and toured extensively, together. What have been some of those highlights, during the tours?
Wow, we've had such amazing moments. Sunra Orchestra, singing Gontse Makhene, being featured in Finland with Sunra Orchestra. Being able to open for Pharaoh Sanders for the New York Winter Jazz Festival, playing North Sea Jazz Festival was quite an epic moment as well. Being backstage with Robert Glasper, Kamasi Washington, Erykah Badu, Grace Jones. It just became one of those spaces where we were, that 6 degrees of separation became real.
Yeah.
And at the Montreux Jazz Festival, the festival director inviting us to his home, which was kind of the first places to mess with 3D. So we were able to put on 3D goggles and be able to be standing over Nina Simone's shoulder at the Montreux Jazz Festival in the 70s.
Wow.
So it was those moments, it was the things that you dream of, the idea of fame that is actually like real.
Incredible accounts, of course, making us wish we were there. Now, the We Have Been Sent by History, is the final tour as an ensemble. And before we get into the details of the show, Siya, the elephant in the room, brother, is why is this the final tour?
Shabaka Hutchings has decided after a long run that he'd like to retire the tenor saxophone for the foreseeable future. I don't think it's an issue of him switching to flute. It's just realization that, music mechanizes you over time and you need to renew and refresh and rejuvenate. And he's in that amazing space, and the flute is giving him that kind of feeling. So he's shut down all of his bands. The Comet is Coming is over, and so is Sons of Kemet. And in the due process of a change and a shedding of skin, the Ancestors is the last of his bands to end, with our last gig being on the 7th of November at Blue Note in Tokyo.
Kofifi FM. We are in conversation with Siya Mthembu of the Ancestors, and the brother moves on. And we're talking about the final Shabaka and the Ancestors tour, which is coming to Johannesburg, Cape Town, and KZN. As a collective, Siya, why was it important, to begin this tour here in South Africa?
Well, this is where it started. And this is the reason why it happened, was because of Shabaka's being very drawn to these lands, and thus these ancestral lineages that rest within the soil and land. So what better place is, like, Shabaka is very proud of the fact that it's going to end here and go to Tokyo and nowhere else, because Tokyo is where his flute's relation is the strongest. So I feel like it's a passing of the torch.
Yeah.
It's in some spiritual realms, not the end, but a conclusion of the link to the South African lineage that he has, and time to chase the Japanese excerpt of it.
Yeah, look, it sounds all fantastic, and we can't wait, to be a part of the final curtain call, as it were, and let's talk some dates, and let's talk some cities for the tour. I've already mentioned where the provinces are, but let's talk some dates. Where can we catch you as you wrap up, the last tour as Shabaka and the Ancestors?
The 27th of October sees us in Cape Town at the Black Brick Gardens. The 28th of October sees us in Johannesburg at Arts on Main. And the 29th of October sees us in Durban at the Chairman. But if you'd also like to experience the majesty of where Shabaka is moving next, 2 shows which will be announced later today is that on the 25th of August, Shabaka will be doing a solo flute show at Untitled Basement, with Tumi Mogorosi joining him for his second set. And the 26th will be at Bertha House in Cape Town, where he'll be doing a solo flute show as well, and a Q&A with myself.
Absolutely. We look forward to being a part of that as well, of course. And we all want to know now, Siya, what happens next to all the members of Shabaka and the Ancestors? What's the next move for everybody?
Growth, and more growth. Tumi Mogorosi's released Black Music. He's busy with 2 other albums that are on their way. Smaller formations, in essence. So if you know Tumi's work, it's been expansive and huge. These next 2 works are smaller formations and not maybe heavily stuck in the jazz idiom as much. Ariel Zamonsky has moved to Argentina and is touring extensively with his wife, Wana. Mthunzi Mvubu just got nominated for a SAMA award for his album, which came out on Rope-a-Dope in November 2022. Whilst the Shabaka is going to Japan, releasing an album on Impulse Records in April with the most amazing feature list you will ever see on an album. For a so-called alternative underground, those words that everybody's been carrying around about us.
Right.
Shabaka, I think, has broken through and has gone to be number. If you think Shabaka is still underground, I think you just don't know what the underground feels like.
Totally.
Myself, I'm actually, it's a little under wraps, but I'm in the thinkings of a solo album.
Wow.
Which may be produced by Shabaka Hutchings and Malcolm Gianni. So that's the thing. I don't think we found ourselves in a static thing of trying to form Shabaka and the Ancestors. We were all busy doing so much work.
Yeah.
And it was part of our growth. So and I like the idea of the foreseeable future. Nothing ends. It just grows into a different feeling, a different sensation.
Absolutely. And trust that will be there right every step of the way, Siya. And we can't wait to have you back in studio to chat about the new project in the future, the foreseeable future. Kofifi, the tickets are available online at Quicket. And for more information, do head to our social media pages as the KJazz Show. Now, as we wrap up, Siya, will we have copies of the projects being sold at the venues? We all want to know, because now we're trying to catch up, because we'll never get these again.
I won't lie to you. With regard, even this tour is us clawing something back from the pandemic. We were sent here by history came out the day when Donald Trump shut down the US. So I think that the sentiment is there's things we've lost in the fire. The album is available internationally. It's such a difficult thing getting it in South Africa, but we have made an effort to try get you merchandise. So there will be merchandise from both of our projects available in Johannesburg, Cape Town, and Durban, but only at the Ancestors show and not at Shabaka's show. And maybe I should add as my last goodbye about this is the DJ lineup for this is incredible.
Yes.
In Cape Town, we've got Atia Khan from Future Nostalgia. We've got DJ Mighty, the veteran, and we've got Batini from Vinyl Fellas. So it's an all vinyl DJ lineup. In Johannesburg, we've got the team from that Tuesday Funk, being Just Timber, Jabberjaw, and Miss Nixter.
Yeah.
And in Durban, we've got Jabberjaw opening and our biggest veteran on the lineup, DJ Bubbles closing. So it's quite a killer lineup. It's going to be a good way to end things. I think at the age of maturity we're at, ending things has always seemed a traumatic thing. This one's a celebration, not a sad ending.
Absolutely. And you're ending it with a bang, the best way. Shabaka and the Ancestors know how. So thank you so much for your time and for sharing with us this Sunday. And we look forward to seeing you at the venues. Of course, if you did miss any of that, go ahead to our social media pages and you'll have that information at the K-Jazz Show. Thank you, brother, and have yourself a fantastic, fantastic week further.
Thank you. We love this show. We love what it does. It's vital and important to the scene and to the tradition.
Oh, you're welcome, sir. He is vocalist, composer, band leader, Siya Mthembu, and he's on the K-Jazz Show.
The K-Jazz Show, Sundays on Kofifi FM 97.2.